Welcome to part 2 of the Audi rebuild. First we're going to be working on these shifting linkages, then we're going to disconnect the downpipe, and then we'll probably work on the axles after that. One issue is I do not know how to disconnect this wire from the engine and all that, so that will definitely be an issue I have to come across down the line, but you know, we'll work through it. Yeah, as you can see, I probably was supposed to put a wrench on this. This was probably super tight onto this, but we'll deal with that later. Once the engine's out, I'll take this off and we'll just put that back like it's supposed to be. Now we'll go to the downpipe. So, change of plans. I'm attacking the last bolt up top. Seems like it was just easier. So I do not remember where the last clip left off, but I was trying to get one of the drive shaft bolts out and it was stripped. We tried using what is it called, JB weld on a socket and putting that socket on it, but because of how cold it is, the JB weld just did not want to stick at all. So we are going to start taking off the top part of the engine, see if we can access it that way. And if we can't access it that way, then we're going to have to drop the subframe and all that. So start with the intake manifold and the fuel rail. Here are my fuel injectors. No, they're not stock. Now for the intake manifold. And there's my intake manifold. Ignition coils. Get off. Now the adapters. Look how dirty that is. All this has got to get cleaned up. Thinking of getting this powder coated, but we'll see what happens. So I got all these labels. I got the adapters off. I did run out of heat, so I'm gonna go do that. Hope you're comfortable, kids. So with all that off, now we're gonna get this oil out and start taking off the valve cover, and then obviously the spark plugs first, but you know, got the plug out. Now don't be concerned about the color of it, because we did put a dye in the oil so we could see where leaks were coming from, so that is why the oil has that greenish color. This is gonna be the easiest I've ever taken off this oil filter ever. Every other time this thing is completely hidden. So this is like a treat. There we go. Doesn't look terrible, definitely could be better. Definitely has some carbon buildup, but you know, for 220,000 miles, I really don't think that's too bad. So we got the timing cover off. I was doing my research on how to disconnect the pulley because I was very confused. But it turns out we actually do have to take off this engine mount, or at least disconnect it. I'm going to fully take it out just so it's out of the way. But let's do that. Got a jack underneath it, and let's get the socket for it. So after taking these two bolts out, I was able to get this out, and I'd say the bushing in my engine mount might need to be changed. After quite a bit of struggle, we got this part out too. This is where the engine mount attaches to the car. And yeah, this is how bad the engine mount is. This just came straight out of it. So I'm having issues getting the crank pulley off. And if you look, I have to get this cover off around the crank pulley. Well, that's behind the crank pulley to get that off. And since I'm having issues with it, and the motor needs to be pulled anyways, and I'm going to do the timing, I'm just cutting the timing belt. Well, timing belt cut. And let me try my best to get that out as much as I can, and then we'll try to get the heads off here. Welcome back to the Audi. I'm probably gonna just edit this into the previous video. Well, the previous videos I record anyways. But now we're gonna take off the heads. At least I'm gonna try. So it is 21 degrees out. A nice warm 21 degrees. So yeah. Now the one final thing I do have to do before I take off the head is there's two lines that my hand is touching back here, but you can't see them, that I have to disconnect from the block that connect to the turbo. One of them, I think I am going to have to disconnect it from the turbo, but the other one I think is already disconnected from the block. I just have to get some brackets off. So we're going to work on that now. So I got the turbo lines disconnected. That was an excruciating process that would not have been fun to watch. Here's all that. This one's for the coolant, this one's for a bracket, and this one's the gasket, and then the bolts for the oil. Should just be taken off the head, and the turbo and every manifold and all that should come with it. Okay, just a little bit more wiggling, and should be able to get this out. And there we go. And now we got the head. Now the reason we even attacked it this way is so we can get a stripped bolt that's on the other side of this. So we're probably going to try to weld something to it and get it off that way, but we will indeed see. But as you can see, so now we're going to take out both axles, disconnect those, and then we should be able to connect the engine hoist and pull the engine. First one out. I had already taken both of these out, so that's why they came out so easily. I realized I had to put them back in to mess with the drive shaft. For what we'll do is we're going to disconnect this so we can get to the bolts back there. We're going to disconnect these three bolts on the ball joint so we can just drop the control arm, and then we'll also disconnect this so we can move the hub. And then once we disconnect all those, we should be able to disconnect this from the axle and then take out those bolts, and the axle will come straight out. Final bolt for this. Pop straight out. It's a little stuck. It's the same axle I actually had pop off, almost pop off the car one time, so that's why that's damaged like that. But yeah, there's the driver's side axle, and then let's get the passenger side axle out. There we go. Oh, this one might be a little bit bad. Won't lie. Or at least the inner part of it. Inner tie rod. Yeah, that should be everything disconnected to push this down. Pull this out. And then boom. We got a disconnected axle. Now we get those bolts. And here we go. Now with both of the axles out, All we have to do is connect the cherry picker to the motor, disconnect this mount, and disconnect the mount that's right below, and then the engine is out. The only reason the engine's not dangling is because we have this jack right here. And I got the engine out. It took a little bit of struggle, but we got her. I'm not gonna work on taking apart too much of that yet. I do want to take apart the heads and get this torn down first, but my current issue is I don't have the right size socket for this, and knowing this car, it's a German socket, so I'm gonna have to special order it, and it's gonna take a week. So I might just start on the transfer case first, start tearing, because I have to take off the transfer case first and then take off the transmission, and then we'll have just the block, and then we'll replace the block on the stand with that one. So stay tuned, and thank you guys for watching.